The second last episode of The Flash has just come out, Season 9, Episode 12, titled A New World Part 3, and although it was a very, very good episode with lots of interesting stuff, we have a lot of bad things that really dropped this episode down at the same time. One of my biggest complaints was that our main character, Barry, bear in mind, this character is our main character, and he's on his final few episodes of his own show ever, yet my guy only appears halfway throughout the episode. And once again, the main spotlight was not for him. The main spotlight was for Cecile in this episode, which I've already expressed my thoughts on her already. Whatever the case is, anything related to her abilities at all, I just will not like regardless of the outcome of it. And this one was probably the worst we've had in terms of her abilities. Now somehow she can astral project herself to the future, which I just find absolutely ridiculous. Her scenes with Chester and that pep talk I found really out of place. Just everything with Cecile was so out of place in this episode, and also her struggles with, like, you know, being a superhero as well as a mother, I found just absolutely stupid as well, because this was her decision. She chose to do this, and you know, she sees what her future is like, and that is that she only sees Joe and her daughter twice in a year, but she still chose that. So I don't know why she feels guilty about it if she's the one that chose that life. And what I found even worse about this pep talk was that Chester was supporting her being a bad mother like that. So I'm like, what the hell's going on over here? So that I really didn't like. And of course, Cecile finally revealing herself as a superhero once again with new Doctor Strange like abilities, I found absolutely stupid, and I just did not like it at all, and it just really brought the episode down. But with the big positives, 100% the biggest positive in this episode was Rick Cosnett's Eddie Thawne. He put one hell of a performance in this episode and absolutely carried the crap out of this episode on his back. And I really loved every single scene Rick Cosnett shared with a character in this episode. It was cool seeing Eddie and Barry reuniting. It was cool seeing Nora returning. And yeah, I'm just very excited for this finale. But in terms of the overall episode in general, of course, before I go over anything, spoiler alert, because this is a review and breakdown for The Flash Season 9, Episode 12. So I'll be going over some major spoilers, which you certainly wouldn't want to hear from me. And trust me, some big things happen, so you wouldn't want to hear spoilers from me, I'll tell you that for sure. So this episode kicks off right where we left off from last episode, with Eddie Thawne and Corbett at the graveyard, with Eddie digging up Eddie Thawne's grave, his own grave pretty much, and he gets his memory back and he reveals that he's Eddie Thawne and he's alive. And yeah, we have Corbett pretty much going through a singularity, which in this episode we find out that these singularities are due to, like, Eddie's emotions, if that makes sense. So like his emotions is what triggers these singularities from taking place. Now we head to present day. Now the present day stuff, it didn't really interest me at all, and that's just because of the cast members involved. I just really do not care. But we find out that Iris is safe. She's still in hospital labor. And yeah, Team Flash are looking for Barry, in which we then have Speed Force Nora appearing. Now bear in mind, this is a force of nature. This is a force of nature that's existed like beyond space-time. It's in the past, it's in the present, it's in the future. So I'm just like, how on earth can't you sense where Barry is? I found that pretty ridiculous as well. But regardless, she mentions that Barry has been cloaked with cobalt radiation, and that's why she cannot find him, which once again I still find stupid, because, you know, that's the source of Barry's powers. How on earth can't you find where Barry is? But yeah, we then head to 2049 and we're in the future. This is in the Flash Museum, and I found that pretty cool. But we had Nora, Superhero Cecile, and Allegra, you know, speeding in, and yeah, they do not look old one bit, especially Cecile. They really just put no effort in making anyone look old, and it just felt weird. And just seeing Cecile there as a superhero as well, I really did not like. But they do mention that there have been energy surges like upstairs, and that's in the Flash Museum, in which we see Eddie Thawne in the Flash Museum. You know, he gets memories of Reverse Flash because he sees like a Reverse Flash display, and he finds out that Eobard Thawne did not die in season 1. Instead, he kept coming back, making Eddie feel like his death was useless. So, that started to kick in which we then had this interesting character, a blonde Nora West Allen, as Eddie's daughter, which I get the concept of. It's quite interesting, but you have to understand Jessica Parker Kennedy's character, Nora West Allen, it's meant to be the daughter of Barry and Iris. So if Eddie and Iris had a child, she will look significantly different. So I found it weird that they just didn't bring in another actress. I guess with Nora, it does make sense just to like make it more like an emotional jealousy type sort of situation, but I'd rather them just find a completely new actor and just use that as Eddie and Iris's daughter, because I found the Nora one pretty stupid, I can't lie. But yeah, we have the negative Speed Force pretty much just manipulating Eddie, but then the real Nora West Allen saves Eddie, and then she's shocked that Eddie Thawne is pretty much around. But yeah, we have Eddie Thawne wandering around Star Labs, most specifically in the med bay, and Team Flash are discussing, like, the portals. We do also have a mention of the black hole, which I found pretty weird. I was like, what is this, the organization black hole? Like, why did Nora mention that? But Eddie talks to Nora West Allen, and this is when we have like his jealousy slowly kicking in when he finds out that this is Barry and Iris's daughter, pretty much a life that was stolen from him. Eddie does also talk about how he recognized her from somewhere, in which we then have Nora West Allen mentioning the events of Season 8, Episode 6, where they have met in the year 2013. But we do have Eddie slowly changing, like he does mention how his death was useless, and how, like, now he's given a second chance and he doesn't really know how to use it. But we then head to present day, and Team Flash are still searching for Barry, and they mentioned like some sort of like empathy fighting it off. This is when we have Team Flash pretty much saying, okay, Cecile, we could use your powers for this. And I just found this absolutely stupid, how someone astral projects themselves as an empath to the future. I found that really weird, but I don't know. It's just what it is. I don't know what they're doing with Cecile's character. Honestly, I really, really do not like it. And I mean it when I say this really did bring down the episode for me, because it feels so out of place. It's so stupid. And this isn't supposed to be what we should be focusing on. Because if you think about it, Cecile had the main focus in this episode. Our main character didn't. I just find that ridiculous in my opinion. But yeah, we then have Nora West Allen sending a message to like her Barry, as in like a future version of the Flash who's in the Watchtower, and Gideon does mention how it will take ages for Barry to receive that message, so it does make sense why that version of Barry will not be able to help out with Nora's situation over here. But we then have the crystal calling out to Nora West Allen, in which Nora approaches the crystal and she gets possessed by the negative Speed Force, in which Nora then ends up manipulating Eddie while being possessed. So she does mention how like the singularity is pretty much tied to Eddie's emotions, and she's kind of helping Eddie out, but in like a manipulative way to obviously get Eddie to accept the crystal. Now we then head over to Mercury Labs, where the possessed Nora West Allen is with Eddie, and they're going around investigating sorts of things to figure out what's happening with Eddie and what he can do. Now Eddie is the only Thawne that's been forgotten. That's been mentioned many times in the show, and it's been mentioned here as well. So this is when Nora is, doing the manipulation as the negative Speed Force, and she talks about how Thawne did say that Eddie's the only one to be forgotten, and that the negative Speed Force does need a new avatar, in which she continues to manipulate, and Eddie Thawne does reject it. This is when we do have Barry then appearing, and he talks with Nora. Nora West Allen pretty much attacks him, which reveals that Nora is now possessed by the negative Speed Force. But yeah, Barry wakes up and the negative Speed Force is talking with Barry, and Eddie pretty much runs in telling the negative Speed Force to stop, but then Barry speeds in and saves Eddie, and we get a really cool reunion between Barry and Eddie, and I really did like this a lot. This interaction between Barry and Eddie specifically, I did really, really like, and I found one of the best parts of the episode. Just anything Rick Cosnett was involved in this episode, I found just absolutely incredible. But yeah, they do talk about, Malcolm Gilmore, and they do try and find out who it is, in which Barry does pretty much find out that this is a false reality created by the negative Speed Force for Eddie to live in. So that's the reveal. That is the negative speed force that brought Eddie Thawne back to life, as it would be like a perfect revenge, like jealousy sort of situation, because Barry pretty much took everything Eddie once had. We then have the pep talk between Chester and Cecile. Now this scene, it felt very, very out of place, and it did like, it's just a stupid argument. Cecile blames herself for pretty much being a bad mother, but as I said during the start of this video, it's her fault. She chose to do this, and it wasn't really a helpful pep talk at all on Chester's side, because Chester was supporting it when clearly Cecile is very conflicted about the fact that she doesn't get to see her family for more than twice in a year. So I don't know what they were thinking when writing this, but honestly, just the whole superhero stuff with Cecile, it didn't need to happen, and definitely did bring down a lot of this season and a lot of this episode as well. We then have Barry and Eddie talking about the crystal, in which Eddie mentions how he could have had a better life because his death was pretty much useless and he's had everything taken away from him. Eddie's pretty much giving into the manipulation from the negative speed force at this point, and he does hear it in his head. So yeah, Eddie's mistake was that, he was being a nobody. That's what he said. And this is when we have his jealousy kicking in. They talk about Iris, and Barry's like, Iris is not your wife, she's mine, basically. So they have a conflicting argument like that about Iris and the whole family that Eddie could have once had, but Barry has. And Barry gives Eddie a chance to pretty much start over again. He says, what would Iris want you to do? But Eddie, he doesn't want to, he wants his old life back, and because of that, he's very conflicted. Now this is when we have Nora West Allen pretty much threatening to destroy the city, and then we have a really, really cool fight chase scene across the city between the Flash and Negative Speed Force Nora. And I found it really, really cool. The CGI for this final graphic novel is absolutely incredible, and we've had some really, really great fight scenes so far. This one definitely did stand out. It looked really, really good. But we have Barry trying to pretty much pep talk Nora, but Barry gets lassoed and then he just falls right down. Now, while that is happening, we have Iris, old Iris, talking with Eddie. So Iris is, she's looking shocked, and I found it weird that Iris was the only one they put effort in regards to looking old. But Iris is shocked to see Eddie, and they reunite. They talk for a bit, and Eddie asks advice from Iris. And this is when we have Iris pretty much rejecting Eddie. She's like, it's always been Barry. I love Barry, stuff like that. And Eddie talks about the second chance, but of course he does get rejected. But yeah, as I said, this part I found so stupid. But Cecile arrives in her superhero suit, and she does some weird Doctor Strange style astral projection, and I can't comment on it. I just really, really do not like it. But yeah, we then have Barry and Nora just hugging it out, and then we have lightning strikes across the city, in which we find out that the future Team Flash, why they were not living what's happening in 2021 or just in general in regards to the blue crystal, is because all of these attacks are happening simultaneously in the timeline, so no one lived it. So Team Flash pretty much discussed what they could do in regards to it, and we find out that the timeline is fracturing, and that does explain how we're going to get all of those returning characters in next episode. But yeah, we then have Barry and old Iris talking about Eddie, and it was a sweet interaction between the two. I did really like this one. One thing I will always appreciate about The Flash Season 9 is how incredible the West Allen stuff are, and this one, once again, was another really, really great scene. But we then have Barry vanishing again, and I'm assuming this is when he's back into 2021. But yeah, we have Eddie Thawne in his lab. This is how the episode ends, and he's pretty much going crazy due to all of these events taking place. He's like, why did you bring me back to life only for me to lose everything? And we have the negative speed force just continuing to manipulate Eddie until he finally accepts the power. We see the crystal, we see the life he could have once had, we see Iris and him, and we do see all of the speedsters that now he's accepted the power of. So he is now the negative speed force avatar. And yeah, I am really, really looking forward to what happens next, because this is now him as Cobalt Blue. We have Eddie Thawne, who's officially become Cobalt Blue. He opens up a singularity, and he's heading to 2021. So yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to see how this all plays out. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. If you guys have enjoyed the video, please give a like and subscribe. Be sure to let me know in the comment section down below what you guys thought about all of this as well. I'm interested to see all of your thoughts in regards to what you guys liked and disliked about this episode. I'm interested to see all of your thoughts in regards to all of it, pretty much. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video.